I very rarely back against Canelo Alvarez, but it would not surprise me at all if Crawford won that.
Matchroom boss Eddie Hearn couldn't contain his excitement after spending a day at Terence "Bud" Crawford's training camp. His verdict was clear. The undisputed welterweight champion is looking absolutely dangerous. Hearn's enthusiasm only intensified following Canelo Alvarez's lackluster performance against William Skull. He noted that it wasn't just Canelo's struggle to cut off the ring. It was a clear indication that age might be catching up with him. According to Hearn, Canelo appears to be entering the twilight of his career and could be approaching retirement.
Do you see that fight now differently based on how Canelo performed against Skull, Eddie?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, wow.
It wasn't just the fact that he couldn't cut the ring off. I just feel like the timing now, the age, Canelo is amazing. I mean, not just because of his ability and what he's accomplished. He still has the desire for those training camps and those fights, but I just feel like that desire might be fading a little bit. Not because of his love, but just because of age and life.
In fact, Hearn admitted that after watching the Skull fight, he was almost certain Canelo would retire before ever stepping into the ring with Crawford. However, he now believes that a showdown with Crawford might be the one fight capable of reigniting Canelo's passion and giving him a reason to keep going.
Don't get me wrong, the Crawford fight will definitely get him up for it. But I was actually watching that fight thinking I wouldn't be surprised if he retired and actually didn't fight Crawford, because I don't think he'll want to lose to Crawford, a much smaller guy, just because he's at the end of the road. But the fight's so big and the money's so big, he's going to have to take it. I bet he retires after that fight.
But some people will criticise Canelo for not doing more in the Skull fight or in the Charlo fight or stepping on these opponents. He's also going, I'm winning comfortably, I'm not getting hit, I'm not affecting my body, give me my money, thank you very much. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I don't blame him for that. But the thing is, when you get the fighters at the right time, and that is a reflection of their age as well, they're more, say, ballsy, but they're more, might be naive, but they're more willing to go in there and have a war.
Matchroom boss Eddie Hearn couldn't contain his excitement after spending a day at Terence "Bud" Crawford's training camp. His verdict was clear. The undisputed welterweight champion looks absolutely dangerous. That excitement only intensified following Canelo Alvarez's underwhelming performance against William Skull. Hearn pointed out that it wasn't just Canelo's inability to cut off the ring. It was a sign that age might finally be catching up with him. According to Hearn, Canelo appears to be entering the twilight of his career and could be nearing retirement. In fact, Hearn admitted that after the Skull fight, he was almost certain Canelo would hang up the gloves before ever facing Crawford. However, he also believes that a showdown with Crawford might be the one fight capable of reigniting Canelo's passion and giving him a reason to continue.
Because he's not the fighter he was. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of pride for those guys. So he's made a huge amount of money. I don't know, look, maybe it was just fighting in Saudi, the negative opponent, all this kind of stuff. But I was sitting next to Bud for the whole fight, and I was thinking, I think you'll probably beat him. You know?
Wow.
Don't get me wrong, it's a very tough fight for both. Great fight. But the movement of Terence Crawford and the ring IQ, and he looks like, in my opinion, the younger, fresher fighter, even though they're both, 36 and 38? It's amazing. But Bud is watching that fight going, his ring IQ is incredible and his belief's incredible. He's watching that fight going, I know exactly how to beat him. Now, doing it is different. And the weight disparity, of course, is going to be a problem. But I actually think he's turned into the favourite.
Reflecting on Crawford's journey, Hearn pointed out that Terence never had the opportunity to build the kind of resume typically expected from a fighter of his caliber. It wasn't that opponents were avoiding him. He simply never got the high-stakes matchups that could showcase his greatness. Hearn suggested that one of the major reasons behind this was the lack of a strong promotional push during Crawford's early career. Without naming names directly, he subtly criticized Bob Arum, implying that Top Rank failed to elevate Crawford's profile or secure the marquee opponents necessary to match his elite skill set.
Like, Crawford's what, 36, 35, 37? You know? Like, and by the way, he's an outstanding fighter, but the problem is with Bud, and I said this to him on the flight, I said, you never got the chance to build an amazing resume because there was no one for you to fight. Like, and I was like winding him up. I said, tell me your best win. And he's like, Ricky Burns. That's what he said. Ricky Burns is my fighter, 3-division world champion. But I said, he was a great fighter, but he's not going to go down in history, Ricky Burns, as like an all-time great. You're telling me that was your best win? Well, Errol Spence, but even he acknowledges that Errol Spence, you know, was probably a little bit... And Bud could beat all the greats, but he never really got the chance, and that's why this fight's really important. He was never really built or promoted correctly, and then his purses, because he was so good, and because he was winning everything, were going up and up and up, and then Bob looks at it and goes, we need to put him on pay-per-view, because ESPN, or wherever it is at the time, aren't paying them the rights fees to pay what this guy wants. So we roll the dice on pay-per-view, and it flops. Right? The numbers are much better.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But when he fights Jeff Horn, when he fights Posto, when he fights Amir Khan, when he fights Kell Brook...
Are those fights, were those fights ever really going to sell?
Not really, but what happens? But you're rolling the dice, because if you don't hit the numbers, someone's got to make up the deficit on the minimum. And that will be Bob, right? So when Terence does his deal to fight Kell Brook or Amir Khan, he says, yeah, I want 3 million, 4 million minimum guarantee, plus I want my upside on the pay-per-view over 150. It ends up doing 60,000 buys, and the break-even point is 125 for Top Rank, and they're in for 3 million. And then Bob looks at it and goes absolutely berserk, and from that day, Bob goes, he's a waste of money. I think he's the fresher guy in there, and I very rarely back against Canelo Alvarez, but it would not surprise me at all if Crawford won that fight.
That said, it was Canelo's lackluster performance against William Skull that forced Eddie Hearn to reconsider his stance on a potential clash with Terence Crawford. When the matchup was first floated, Hearn had dismissed the idea outright, questioning whether Crawford could even make the weight and suggesting he be massively undersized compared to the much larger Canelo. But after witnessing Canelo's recent showing, those doubts have started to fade.
How is Crawford going to be able to bridge this weight gap?
Yeah, I don't think he can, in all honesty. I mean, he might not be able to bridge it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
one weight class.
68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35. 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many. And 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like, he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. But you have to use your movement. If you're Terence Crawford in that fight, the last thing you want to do is stand and trade. He'd be moving a lot in that fight, trust me. I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot. Of course, that's the way to beat him. I don't think so. I think that it's much too much weight for Terence. You know, his style was difficult. And, you know, people will say it was a poor performance from Terence, but let's just say it was a great performance from Madrimov, you know. I think 168 is much too big for Terence, but like he said, if the money's right, he'll fight.
Echoing Hearn's growing confidence in Crawford, former champion Andre Ward also threw his support behind Bud in a potential showdown with Canelo. Ward stated plainly that he's not picking anyone against Crawford right now. He emphasized that unless someone can break Crawford's will and stop him from eventually figuring you out, there's simply no reason to bet against him.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. You know, big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. You know, it ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me that you can beat him.
Adding to the conversation, legendary trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas offered high praise for both fighters while weighing in on the growing debate. He acknowledged that Crawford hasn't faced the kind of resume fans typically expect from a pound-for-pound great, but stressed that true greatness isn't solely defined by opposition. It's something innate. It's something you either have or you don't, Atlas said. While recognizing Canelo as a tremendous fighter with undeniable skill, he highlighted that Crawford's greatness stems from something deeper. His desire, his mindset, and the very makeup of who he is as a fighter.
Canelo's really good. Really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire, it's in his mind, it's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? But those intangibles.
On the other hand, Shakur Stevenson made his stance crystal clear. He believes Terence Crawford would dominate in a potential clash with Canelo. While giving Canelo full credit as a great fighter, Stevenson expressed unwavering confidence in Crawford's skill set, saying he has every tool needed to win. He also pushed back against the ongoing weight narrative that's dominated much of the discussion, insisting that far too much emphasis is being placed on size rather than skill.
No, I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing
yeah.
makes us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would like apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's like physically kind of big, but like height wise, he's kind of small. So I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that Bud could crack too. So if they do fight, I told you I think that Bud outboxes him. I think he's gonna use his leg, keep Canelo on the outside and make it an easy night. This story, I said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. I was in the gym. I want to say I was getting ready for Chris Diaz or something, and he was sparring like a heavyweight fighter. I'm looking, I'm type nervous for him. I'm like, why is he in the ring with this big old dude? And man, I swear he done caught this dude on the shin. Boom, dude, wobbling all around the ring. I'm like, what the f***? How is this dude this strong? But it's like, honestly, Bud is very strong. A lot of people don't realize how strong he is as a fighter, and his punching power could carry through the weight classes.
Meanwhile, boxing legend Sugar Ray Leonard brought a timeless perspective to the discussion, emphasizing that in a fight of this magnitude, it's not just about skill or strategy, it's about who wants it more. He stressed that when elite fighters collide, it's often the spirit, heart, and sheer will to win that determine the outcome. If the burning desire is there, Leonard said, then victory shall follow.
Whoever wants to win will win. You know what I mean? I'm not being funny. Whoever wants to win will win.
The will overcomes everything. That's how you did it. I appreciate you. Great seeing you so much.
That's true. But you know what? There's always a way. Put it that there's always a way. There's always a way to win.
Offering a different angle, Keone Davis, one of the rare fighters to have shared the ring with both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford during training, brought a unique perspective to the potential clash. Reflecting on his experience, Davis noted that every time you spar with fighters of that caliber, you gain invaluable insight and elevate your game. He acknowledged that Crawford would face an adjustment phase moving up to the 168-pound division, adding another layer of complexity to the challenge. Davis expects the bout to unfold as a high-level chess match, rich in strategic nuance and elite skill. But when pressed for a prediction, he leans slightly toward Canelo, citing the weight disparity as a key factor that could tilt the outcome.
Anytime you spar with elite level guys, you learn something from them, and you gain experience. I've been in the ring with Canelo Alvarez, as you said. I've been in the ring with Atlanti Laura. I've been in the ring with Triple G. I've been in the ring with Adrian Broner. I've been in the ring with Daniel Jacobs. I've been in the ring with Caleb Plant and Julian Williams, and I've been in the ring with almost everybody in the game that's been somebody. Preparation is going to definitely be everything. Crawford adjusting to the 168-pound division. I know he's been sitting at a heavier weight for a while, but he's been showing his training and stuff. So that's definitely going to help him. Canelo experience. You got Crawford, he got great experience as well. It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a good chess match. I expect a great fight. If I had to favor somebody, I would just pick Canelo because of the weight disparity. Canelo is naturally sits really well at 168, and it's just always tough for a guy to come to 168 and come from that many weight classes up and do something like that. If he does it, if anybody could do it, it'll be Terence Crawford.
That sentiment was echoed by veteran trainer Abel Sanchez. He argued that the fight is physically mismatched. While he acknowledges that Crawford will make the weight and likely step into the ring at around 163 pounds, he insists that size remains a major factor. He emphasizes that Canelo is a naturally bigger fighter who has consistently faced and absorbed shots from true super middleweights and light heavyweights. In Sanchez's view, no matter how skilled Crawford is, the sheer physicality of Canelo will eventually take over.
Yeah, it's two different people. Yes, Crawford will gain the weight. Yes, he will be probably around 160, 162, 63 in fight time. But Canelo's a bigger man. Canelo is taking shots from big guys, and nobody has done anything to him. So I don't think this fight. I don't think, I've said it all along, I don't think this fight should happen. But the money was there for both of them, so it's being made. But it's not a fight that I would pay to see.
An emphatic victory from Canelo. Do you think that he'll stop Terence Crawford?
Well, I think so. Yes. And it's not because Terence is not talented. Terence is a talented fighter. It's just that you're talking about a big man who's used to fighting those big guys. Eventually, he will catch Crawford. Eventually, he will and punish Crawford and hurt him.
That sentiment was echoed by veteran trainer Abel Sanchez, who argued the fight presents a significant physical mismatch. While he acknowledges that Crawford will likely make the weight and step into the ring around 163 pounds, Sanchez insists size remains a major factor. He emphasizes that Canelo is a naturally bigger fighter who has consistently faced and absorbed shots from true super middleweights and light heavyweights. In Sanchez's view, no matter how skilled Crawford is, Canelo's sheer physicality will eventually prevail.
We all know what Canelo brings to the table. We all know that Canelo went up to 175. We all know that. But we don't know how Crawford can compete with Canelo. We don't know. So we know what to expect when we see Canelo come into the ring and when Canelo fights, but we don't know what to expect when we see Crawford, because we never seen Crawford at this weight before.
They talk all the crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. So let's not do that, Canelo.
Hear the media, when you hear the experts talk, you always hear all of them say, you never seen a smaller great fighter beat a big great fighter. So just hearing just all the things that surrounded behind the talks of Crawford going up to fight Canelo is intriguing.
In response to the size concerns, Terence Crawford voiced his frustration toward critics, insisting that weight would not be an issue against Canelo. He reminded everyone that when Canelo moved up in weight, he suffered a loss, but when Crawford himself made the jump, he came out victorious. For Crawford, the difference isn't just about pounds on the scale. It's about skill, adaptability, and a winning mentality. Terence Crawford further added fuel to the fire shortly after by uploading a video of himself shadowboxing. A clear signal that preparations for a potential clash with Canelo Alvarez are already underway. Sharp, focused, and explosive in the clip, Crawford looked every bit like a man ready to step up and make history at 168 pounds.
The weight won't be the factor. The factor will be how Canelo chooses to make the fight. Canelo comes out and does what Canelo should do, Canelo wins the fight. Canelo comes out and does what he shouldn't do, Crawford wins the fight. Control the center of the ring. If Crawford is allowed to control the center, he'll win.
Backing Crawford's view, Roy Jones Jr. dismissed weight as the deciding factor. For Jones, the fight wouldn't come down to size but to strategy. He believes Canelo has what it takes to win, but only if he sticks to the right game plan.
Terence Crawford, Canelo.
Yeah, I believe Terence Crawford is going to be in top shape, and I believe he's good enough to outpoint Canelo. But I believe the power would be a challenge, if you will. So I'm gonna say Terence Crawford.
Terence Crawford?
Because I think Terence Crawford is the best boxer in the world.
Outside the world of boxing, NFL legend Antonio Gates weighed in on the potential Crawford versus Canelo showdown, backing Terence Crawford to show up in top shape for the challenge. Gates acknowledged Crawford's skill set, pointing out that he's sharp enough to outpoint Canelo over the distance. While he admitted that Canelo's power would pose a serious threat, Gates ultimately leaned toward Crawford.
That's almost impossible to answer. That's going to be an absolute dogfight. I have to go Canelo. I think he's a little bit bigger, and I think that's going to work to his advantage. But that'll be one of the best fights. Period.
Knockout or decision?
Decision. I think it might be a split.
As the buzz around a potential Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez showdown intensifies, opinions remain sharply divided across the boxing world and beyond. With legends, analysts, and even NFL stars weighing in, this fight promises more than just fireworks. It's a collision of legacy, skill, and will. One thing's for sure, if it happens, the world will be watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fight updates. Hit that notification bell so you never miss the latest boxing news. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.